My first impression is that it is very wide. It feels like a big sort of Lego toy brick.
This is a very rare retreat for Apple. This is a project that they've invested over $10 billion in.
Manufacturing something as complicated as an automobile is just not where Apple needs to go.
Whoever thought that an Apple car was a good idea in the first place?
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is up in the pre-market just a little bit, sitting at $199.99. It's been quite the volatile week, but we're still sitting around that 200 mark. For the week, Tesla is up almost 4%, but year to date, we're still down around 20% since the start of the year. I still have a couple of protective puts out, so I wouldn't mind if the stock fell a little bit lower. But trust me, if the stock wanted to surge, I'd be just fine with that as well.
Guys, here I am in the Tesla Cybertruck. This is the electric pickup truck that Tesla debuted and started taking orders on in 2019. They've started finally delivering them in November. My first impression is that it is very wide. It feels like a big sort of Lego toy brick.
A Lego toy brick. I do recall Elon saying something like, if Legos can be seamless, we can do it with the Cybertruck. I'm okay with that assessment.
I love the shape of the steering wheel. I think a round steering wheel would have looked out of place anyway. So here is the screen that literally controls everything in the vehicle. Open or close the back. You can adjust the ride height, you can adjust the mirrors, the steering, you can record. It's the morning after I've had the Cybertruck for 24 hours, went on a coffee run. I have to say, you know what? It's really fun. The truck has a point of view and you might love it and you might hate it, but honestly, I had a lot of fun. It was a lot better than I expected it to be.
You're damn right it was a lot of fun. Hands down, that is the best thing on the road at this moment. Absolutely an intelligent monster on wheels. I don't think people understand how hard it is to make and manufacture a vehicle, let alone a marvel of something like the Cybertruck.
A collective wow came out of the newsroom when we saw this story cross here. I mean, this is a project that the company's been working on for a decade at this point. What do we know about Apple's electric car plans?
So Apple this morning officially canceled work on a self-driving electric car, but this is a bombshell development. This is a very rare retreat for Apple. This is a project that they've invested over $10 billion in. They've worked on it for over 10 years.
Damn! That's a long time, and that's a lot of money. I suppose Apple now knows how hard it is to make and manufacture an electric vehicle, not to mention they had high ambitions on that autonomy front. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This shit ain't as easy as Tesla makes it look. Building phones and building cars are two totally different things.
So again, this is Apple canceling work on an electric car. This is a significant development for one of the company's most ambitious attempts at a new product category in its history.
Apple is reportedly ditching its decade-old effort to build an electric vehicle. That's according to Bloomberg.
I'm starting to sense a theme here.
What caught our eye following this story was the fact that you wrote back in 2015 that it would be insane, I believe was your word, to think that we were going to see Apple cars coming off the assembly line. And it took them a while, but you were right. Why did you think it was not going to come to pass? And how does why it actually hasn't come to pass sort of match up with what you expected?
Well, if Apple wants to call me about strategic consulting, I'm willing to take their call. So I'm talking about the complete car. And my point back in 2015, which I think is still completely valid today, is that manufacturing something as complicated as an automobile is just not where Apple needs to go. For two words, profit margin. Apple's profit margin is about 26%. That's mostly, I mean, we know what their devices are, but really that's a lot of intellectual property and a lot of software. That's the business that you want to be in these days. So a profit margins for comparison. So Apple's at 26. That's awesome. Tesla is only at 16% profit margin. Toyota probably the best run car company in the world, is 10% profit margin. Then GM and Ford are in the single digits. And it's just a complicated business. It's a cyclical business. There's a ton that can go wrong. Even Elon Musk at some point during the last decade, when they were struggling just to make a profit, he said, wow, manufacturing is really hard.
So incredibly short-sighted. These aren't just cars anymore. They're computers on wheels. Much like there's an ecosystem to be had with the phone, now you have an entirely different ecosystem with the car. This is software as a service, but it is on a larger scale. What does that mean? You're probably going to have greater profit margin. Just look at what Tesla is doing right now. You have the car itself, but there is also a $12,000 full self-driving package you can add on to the sticker price. That is pure profit margin with the flip of a switch. Oh, that's not enough for you? Well, how about the insurance side of the business? Tesla Insurance is rolling out all over the country and soon the world. That adoption rate is only going to make sense because the company knows the vehicle the best, knows your driving habits the best, so they can give you the best price for how you drive. Oh, that's not enough? Well, let's talk about infotainment. People are going to want exceptional connectivity. In-car purchases are going to be a thing when full self-driving sheds that beta tag. Tesla is aiming for having the most fun you can have in a car. Just let your imagination run wild with that one. That's not enough for you? Oh, well, how about this? Let's go ahead and tack on home charging and home solar, all of which you can control in a tight, neat little package through the Tesla app. The equivalent of a gas station in your garage, lower energy bills, and my personal favorite, independence from the grid. Sign your boy up. Oh, that's not enough for you? How about the entirety of the supercharging network? Tesla has the most robust and widespread supercharging network. Other auto manufacturers have recognized this and are desperately needing access to appease their customers. The ways that Tesla can make money through the vehicle is astounding. And 10 years from now, we're going to be looking at Apple's profit margins of 26% and going, that was nice. Tesla seems to be doing it a little better though. Apple sees this opportunity, but unfortunately, this ain't as easy as Tesla makes it look.
10 years in the making, 2,000 people involved in the project. It's always a hard decision to walk away from an idea. But this is a reality check at Apple, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the latest in a real stop-start process, which finally seems to have stopped in a finite manner. Over the past decade, they've at various stages tamped back their ambitions, expanded their ambitions. At the stage when Emily Chang spoke to Tim Cook in the interview you just showed, they had decided they weren't going to make a car, but they were going to build these self-driving car systems, which then they might sell to other people. They then saw how Tesla went on a real tear, at least its share price and its sales. And so they reignited those ambitions to actually manufacture an electric vehicle. Now it seems to have finally died. The reason, of course, pertains seemingly to partly that AI ambition, and secondly, the electric vehicle market. The electric vehicle market is really slowing down. The growth is slowing. But Apple seems to have missed a beat when it comes to artificial intelligence. It doesn't yet have a big public-facing generative AI product. A lot of very big AI brains have been working on its car project. You can see how it might make strategic sense to move as many of those as possible into the core AI ambitions.
I guess you could try to mask it with an EV slowdown. Point blank, making that car was a waste of resources. The fact that they were working on it at all just shows how much of an opportunity there was in there. Might have been an interesting needle mover if they were going to be able to figure out how to manufacture cars at scale profitably.
Even if you don't care about cars, is this a good move for Apple? Is it good news for Tesla, Rivian, and others? With us tonight is Deepwater Asset Management Managing Partner Gene Munster and Gerber Kawasaki President and CEO Ross Gerber. Gene, you say you're surprised, but I wonder why. Whoever thought that an Apple car was a good idea in the first place?
Well, I think Apple thought it was a good idea, and I think that they've got a history of redefining, reimagining product categories that were getting off the ground. And so the amount that they're investing, by my measure, was about $1 billion per year, most of that coming over the past 3 or 4 years. And Tim Cook said famously in 2017 that autonomous vehicles are the mother of all AI projects.
Whoa, slow down, slow down. Could you say that again?
And Tim Cook said famously in 2017 that autonomous vehicles are the mother of all AI projects. And so if you listened and watched what they were doing, they wanted to do this. This was a goal. And of course, they've now shifted direction. So that's what surprised me. I had put the odds at this at 50-50 that this would come out, 50% chance.
Listen, Apple could have probably owned Tesla 5 to 10 years ago. Maybe they still could take a pass at it. Who knows? What's your take?
I knew they were never going to do a car, being an early Tesla investor and knowing their mode and knowing where they were at. And I had done many interviews back as far as 2015, talking about Apple taking a stake in Tesla. And when Tesla was in trouble in 2018 and needed money, supposedly there was a conversation between the two that Tim doesn't remember, but that lack of memory probably cost him hundreds of billions of dollars for Apple shareholders if he would have taken a stake in Tesla at the time.
You mother. Right. Model 3, production hell back then. But if you're going through hell, you keep going. Many believed Tesla was going to go bust, not able to complete their goals or their mission. Now, they are the envy of legacy automotive. Toyota was like, how they build the Model Y? That's a work of art. Just goes to show, it ain't over until it's over.
And just the same, we see a similar opportunity for Apple if they want to be in this business by taking a stake in Rivian. But they don't want to be in this business, and they've made a clear commitment to Vision Pro, and moving this team over to AI is the smartest thing they can do. So this is a good move for Apple.
Any chance Apple at $2.8 trillion in market cap could try to buy Tesla at $700 billion in market cap? Or is that completely insane?
In theory, I think the bigger issue is that Tim Cook and Elon Musk are like oil and water, and they would never work together ever. Okay, literally ever. So it would have to be one or the other in charge and the other not being involved if that was ever going to happen.
Apple, cars are hard. I mean, phones, the thing with your eyeballs that they're doing now, okay, those are hard. Cars are a different animal. If you're an Apple shareholder, many of our viewers and listeners are, should they be happy about this news?
I think they should be disappointed. And part of it is that Apple's a tech company, and tech companies by definition need to grow. And that's the $400 billion question that they have. That's their revenue this year. And to grow a top line, they haven't grown their top line for the last 6 quarters. And to grow the business, you got to get into some big markets. Vision Pro has some potential, but that was the kind of the shiny opportunity related to the car. This could, if they get 10% of the automotive market, that would grow their top line by 60%. We can set aside the earnings question, but I understand that most investors thought that this was a low probability, and that is reflected in how the stock traded today. But ultimately, I'm disappointed. I think Apple could have done something really special when it comes to automotive.
Maybe there's a chance, so you're saying there's a chance, that Apple is abandoning its own effort because maybe it does want to take a pass. Maybe not at Tesla, which is massive, but maybe at a Rivian, maybe at a Lucid, right? Instead of build, just buy.
I think that makes sense. I think the Rivian piece is... That lines up, I think, by my last check, it's what, $10-12 billion market cap, and definitely more doable. And I think it does line up. Apple could do this, and I think that would get them into that bigger market. So I'm disappointed that this turn in events, and so I don't want to be predicting that they're going to ultimately do something like this, but I do think Apple needs to break into some new market. And dare I say the television, it still surprises me that they didn't do it. I don't want to go back to that conversation, but they need to do something big, and potentially Rivian would be just the answer to that.
If Apple were to buy an EV startup, it would have to be Rivian. Lucid is kind of like a non-starter there. Their production numbers are low and dwindling. I don't even know if they have aspirations to open up the total addressable market. But Rivian is at that same exact stage that Tesla was at when Tim Cook forgot about Elon Musk's conversation about taking a stake into Tesla around 2017, 2018. Rivian is now at that similar mile marker. Their R2 platform is a make or break situation for Rivian. How many they can produce and how efficiently they can produce it will determine whether or not they survive. In conclusion, the Cybertruck is fun, okay? It looks like something that's transported itself from the future, has all of the excellent technology you would expect from a Tesla vehicle, and if it had a wallet, it would have one that had bad mother written on it. Many people didn't think this truck would see the light of day. Now it's being manufactured in mass. It just goes to show you how difficult it is making and manufacturing an automobile. In fact, one of the greatest technological giants of our time, Apple, has given up. They've waved the white flag. This isn't as easy as Tesla makes it look. A decade and $10 billion later, they realize the juice isn't worth the squeeze. Who knows? Maybe they can acquire one of these EV startups and make good on an opportunity that they missed when Tesla was seemingly down and out. That's all I got for you today. Be easy. Peace.